Hello and welcome back to Linux Academy. In this video, we are going to look at parsing JSON in Python. Most web services implementations now respond with a JSON. So for our example, we will take a JSON from a web service and parse it out. Let's start off with the import URL lib module, which gives us functionality for doing web calls. And secondly, import JSON, which is the built-in standard module for parsing and producing JSON. Now I'm setting up a variable called URL to point to where we have the example JSON up on the Linux Academy website. But if you're working with an actual web service, then that URL would go here. Then we just call the URL open, assign it to a response. Next, we set up another variable called JSON string and assign it response.read, which actually goes out, gets the data from the URL, and assigns it to the variable. We can now print the JSON string and see the output. This is the data we will be working with. If you notice, there are curly braces and then square brackets. Curly braces act just like a dictionary in Python, and square brackets act like lists. Now let's start parsing this data. Let's first set up a variable called data and assign it to none. Next, within a try statement, we're going to say data equals json.loads. Next, within a try statement, let's use the function json.loads to take the JSON string and create a Python object. The function json.loads requires a string variable to be passed in. To make sure there are no conversion issues, I am going to use the str function to force our JSON underscore string variable to a string. Then to finish off the try statement, let's do an except data equals none, which will only get triggered if you got bad JSON. Now I can just use a simple if statement to see if my data is valid, and then print out the data I need from my JSON. I'm going to put up a slide of the full JSON structure up on the right just so that it's easier for us to reference what's going on here. To get to the instance ID, we will have to do data instance statuses, which is the first dictionary key, then a 0, which is the member of the list beneath that, as denoted by the square brackets, and then another key, instance ID. Similarly, to print out the instance state, I would have to do data instance statuses, 0, then instance state, and then name. Now let me get rid of the JSON slide and show you how to create a JSON structure. Let's set up a variable data as a dictionary. The first key member is going to be course name, which is Python. Another one, let's say videos, and we're going to give it a list of videos, strings, classes, JSON. And then one more member, let's call it ID. We're going to set that to 5 and close up our data structure. Now I can set up a variable JSON string and use json.dumps and pass in my data and a index equals 4. When I print out my JSON string, you can see a nicely formatted JSON string. Of course, having all that space in there adds to the overhead in terms of transmission of this JSON. So if you were trying to save bandwidth, then just do JSON string equals JSON dumps, but without the indent equals 4. And now you don't have any indentation or extra white space in your string. That's it for this video. Mark it complete and go to the next one.